Oh, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Fantasy Life right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you for the next couple of hours, breaking everything down. Everything being all the head coaching changes, all the offensive coordinator changes that we have going on right now. It's been a crazy January, Adam, and maybe we're halfway through. I don't even know what day it is. I just know that it's Wednesday, and we're going to be breaking down all the news about Mike Tomlin. We're going to get changes for the Chargers and their offensive coordinator. We've got 9 NFL teams looking for head coaches, Adam, and that's more than 25% of the league. I mean, it is insane. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm doing okay, except
It's
for
okay.
the shots that I took in the
Oh, yeah.
pre-show from our
Wasn't me.
producers. It's messed up. You were laughing though, so you're a part of it. You said
That's
you don't
true.
know what day it is. Well, it is a day closer to Sam Darnold ruining your
Hey,
season.
hey, whoa, is this
No,
how
I'm
we're
just,
going to start it today?
no, I'm
Jeez.
just kidding. I'm rooting for
Man.
Seattle. You know that.
Yeah,
I'm rooting
right.
for the
Yeah,
Seahawks.
right.
I
I know
hate the 49ers.
I know they were on you this morning. I mean, you didn't even
I
say
know.
hello. They said, what did they? No, I won't even say it.
Yeah,
It's
don't do
just
it.
based off our playoff draft. They're making fun of
Yeah,
you a
my
little bit.
team is struggling. And look, when you do these playoff drafts, as I said before it, during it, it's boom or bust. If you don't
Oh,
get
you're
the
coming
right
after
teams
me?
advancing, you're done.
You're coming
That's
after
part
Sam
of it.
Darnold already? Do you not think I think about this every day? Every day for the last week now, a
You
week and
should
a
be
half?
okay this week. You cannot lose to the 49ers.
Adam, oh my God, knock on wood. What are you doing? Don't do this to me. I've started making plans. My mom's coming into
Oh,
town. I'm
she
like,
is?
oh,
Okay.
geez. Yeah, not for to also celebrate belated birthday, but I
That's
was like, do
true.
we want to be in public for this, or do we want to
Oh,
do we
well,
want
you're
to be at
making
the
lasagna,
house?
right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you
Definitely
have to
making
be home.
lasagna. But yeah, it's don't do this to me right now. Don't
Okay.
do this to me today. We're friends. We're BFFs. You whatever goes on with you and producer Brendan and producer Ani, that's not on me, but it was a little
Yeah,
bit
they're
funny.
enemies, man.
I
They
know,
just.
man. They just came after you this morning. I don't know what's happening, but but I do know things that will turn your mood around and won't make fun of you is the rundown today because we've got a good one. We've got, like I said, we have to talk about all the coaching changes, and again, I mean, this is I don't remember. I should go back and look the last time that we had 9 head coaching jobs available in the NFL. But it just feels like a lot. Again, that's more than 25% of the league, and so I'm looking at this and saying, wow. I mean, I think we heard rumblings, right? There were rumblings about Mike Tomlin. We can start there today. Maybe potentially, parting ways, getting fired, whatever it was. I don't know if it was stepping down for me because I'm very curious if he didn't do that, if they would have kept him. But Mike Tomlin stepping down as the Steelers head coach after 19 seasons. So he told the team that yesterday, according obviously to Tomlin and statements from the Steelers. And that was the big piece of news. This comes after it was like 24 hours after that Houston Texans lost 30-6 on Monday night. He did have a contract extension in 2023 that would put him as the head coach through 2027. But the one thing we know about Mike Tomlin is that he has a great resume, and he was one of those coaches. We always heard the stat, never had a losing record. He went from being one of the youngest NFL head coaches to the longest tenured. So it was an incredible run. And I think if Mike Tomlin does coach again, because there are rumors that maybe he goes to TV, I think he is now one of the best head coaching candidates that we have out there. And whatever team goes after him are probably going to be, in my opinion, pretty lucky to have him. So this was big news yesterday.
Yeah, the thing is, though, the Steelers still have his rights. So it would have to
Mm,
be a trade.
interesting. Oh,
Similar to
really?
Sean Payton. Yeah. So
Mm,
that's what makes
so
this
TV,
intriguing.
huh?
Yeah, it could be. And the thing is,
For a
though,
year.
maybe, but remember, Bill Cowher went to TV, never came back. So look,
That makes me sad.
I get it from Tomlin's perspective because the longer you stay in Pittsburgh and don't win a playoff game,
Hmm.
people start to sour on you, and we've already been hearing it. So now, when he does it this way, he kind of goes out on his own terms in a way which many people don't get to do. I mean, look at Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So he got fired. So, and Tomlin probably looked at this and said, "Look, if I stay here, if we don't get a quarterback, I'm going to go through the same thing again. I can get
Yeah.
this team to the playoffs again. It's not going to be good enough because we can't win in the postseason." And that's been the biggest problem is since Ben Roethlisberger went down or retired, they haven't had a quarterback. And he gets this team to be overachievers every
Yes.
season, and it's still not good enough. So I get it from his perspective why he did this. Maybe also, you get a little burnt out coaching 19 years, the pressure that you have to deal with. Just step away for a bit. I was thinking it would be hilarious if he went to Baltimore, but I don't think Baltimore would trade unless they
No, did you see those comments though? Because this broke during the Ravens press conference yesterday, and they were like, "Well, maybe we should do a trade. Like, if he comes here and then Harbaugh goes there." I was like, "Oh my gosh,
that would be
please,
insane."
please."
But yeah, look, I think Tomlin's like a good leader and leader of men. We've seen that. I mean, what he has done, playoffs 13 of 19 seasons, 8 division titles. But playoffs are 8-12, and we know how it goes. They have not won a postseason game. That's 7 straight playoff losses, and that's what people are going to look at, whether you agree with it or not. Like, I've thought many of the years, what was it? Was it the COVID year when they started off great? I was like, this team is not even close to being a good team, reflective of their record. And obviously, we saw it in the postseason. So, yeah, it's good for Tomlin, though, I think, for going out on his own terms. And, yeah, we'll see if he does return to coaching. I would think he does, right?
I think he does too. He feels
kind of,
like
McCarthy. Look, McCarthy took a year off, and you're hearing his name in the mix now.
Yeah. I mean, I think he would, and I think he's just one of those coaches where I don't think we have to have the conversation about Canton. It feels like it's just going to happen, but he's got such a good resume. And my selfishly, and I'm sure for a lot of Tomlin fans, selfishly give this man a decent roster, give this man a quarterback, and I want to see what happens. Because if you're able to overperform with the teams that you've had over, especially the past, let's say 5 seasons, where you say, okay, they don't have a losing record, they always make it to the playoffs, but they're always kind of the joke, the punchline, right? They are never the team that we say, well, they're going to go far, they've got everything that they need. It's always, okay, who's playing the Steelers, and then we're just going to take the other team because we knew that they couldn't perform. But give Mike Tomlin a roster, give Mike Tomlin a quarterback, anything else, and maybe a change of scenery. We say it for the same things for NFL players. Like, sometimes, hey, they just need a change of scenery. Maybe it works out. And so, again, I know that it goes both ways, right? The roster construction is not on everyone else but Mike Tomlin. And when you can't perform, and when you do get that far and can't perform in the playoffs, can't get past that first wild card spot, it does fall on you as a head coach. And so I agree with you that I think the timing was right, where you just need to get out. And I think it helped the Steelers organization not have to make an uncomfortable decision or have the uncomfortable conversations, right? So it's a big step for a lot of teams this year, but really we're talking about 2 teams where we're just going to have way different head coaches, obviously, and maybe a different trajectory when we're looking at the Ravens, when we're looking at, the Steelers. It's crazy. If you would have told me the Broncos, or not the Broncos, that the Bengals were going to be the team that kept their coach throughout all of this,
a lot of money.
A lot of money. If you told me 9 teams had fired their head coaches or walked away, whatever it is, and the Bengals weren't on that list, I would have lost a lot of money. Because what are we doing? Come on.
Well, then again, we'd have to really think about it and go, well, they're cheap. So if it costs them money, then yeah, it's not going to happen. So
it's insane.
But yeah, when you consider Tomlin and Harbaugh in that mix, you would have been like,
Stefanski with the Browns. That whole AFC North is going to be different.
That's
nuts. It's crazy.
I just think that not having a quarterback was a big problem. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks they've had, and just look at this week. They were home underdogs in the playoffs. Yeah. No one expected them to win, right? We all talked about it was going to be a low-scoring game. Offense is going to be a challenge against that Texans defense. So, most of these times it's not like they've had a superior team. So in a way, he hurt himself by getting these teams to the playoffs, because now you expect to win, and they weren't good enough in most of these postseasons to get a win.
Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger for a long time, then it was a combination of Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers at 42 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. So a huge change though in the coaching shift, a huge change in the NFL because again, we're looking at this division. The AFC North is going to be completely different besides the Bengals. Stefanski's out, Harbaugh's out, Tomlin's out. And so yeah, we've got again 9 jobs open and we'll be continuing to just, keep an eye on all the news and all the updates and we'll see cuz Tomlin would get a lot of money on TV. I know that's not what he cares about probably, but man, he would get a lot of money. I'm sure everyone's trying. How many phone calls you think he's getting, his agent? That's nuts. It's almost like your phone this week. Just like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's ringing right now.
I know. I heard it in the
Yeah.
background. I say, yeah, there it goes. Everyone wants Adam. So again, yeah, the Steelers and Tomlin stepping away. I didn't read about that with the stepping away with the words of that because he was signed through 2027. So I'm gonna have to dig into that. But I think if he wanted to coach, he would coach, right? Next year, 2026, or is it the?
Yeah, but I think Steelers would still have his rights though, I believe.
Yeah,
So it would
I'll
have to
look.
be.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it would have to be a
Somewhat of a
trade.
trade.
Hmm.
Wow. Big news there. Other big news that came yesterday was that not as big as that, but the Chargers did fire offensive coordinator Greg Roman and their offensive line coach as well. So this was probably something that we saw coming, or probably one that a lot of people were asking for because it looked awful, Adam. And this comes after a 16-3 playoff loss to New England, where Justin Herbert couldn't get anything going because he was getting hit all the time. And this has been something, and this was Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator now out. There was a lot that was promised with this team, and I still think there are obviously, outs and ways that they can be great in 2026 because this team, to me, last season overperformed. This year, I thought that maybe they could get it together. They had a ton of injuries, though. I mean, the different combinations on that offensive line were crazy. The run game really that was promised never materialized, and I know that also came with injuries. So it's good news for Justin Herbert. It's good news for fantasy managers to see who comes in that could maybe change this and turn this team around. Because towards the end of the season, Adam, we weren't excited about anyone. We weren't
No.
even drafting. I mean, even now, if we're talking guillotine leagues, like we weren't even drafting Lad McConkey. We wanted to stay away. Omarion Hampton, no. Kamani Vidal, no. We didn't want any piece of this offense with a quarterback like Justin Herbert. That just always blows my mind, and it feels like such a waste.
Yeah, it was weird because if you remember, they came out, they were pass heavy to start the year. And then they started
Yes.
to go more run focused when they were dealing with injuries at the running back position. Hampton was out and Fidel flashed, right? He would have a good game, bad game. He's okay, nothing impressive. But yeah, you had all these weapons and they all counteracted each other, right? You mentioned it. We couldn't
Yeah.
count on anyone because you didn't know who was going to have the game. They didn't have a receiver reach 800 yards this year. So it was McConkey at
Jeez.
789, Keenan Allen 777, Quentin Johnston 735, Gaston 664. So you just didn't know on a given week, all right, who's going to be the guy. So that made it difficult to start any of them. And look, there was a point late in the season where I was like, I don't know if the Chargers are going to get into playoffs with their injuries and their schedule. Now they
Yeah.
did, and I think it's a product of the AFC being so weak. But think about that. Like this team won 11 games. They lost their last 2 and then the playoffs. And we knew that there was major questions here. Obviously, the offensive line, the health, they had it felt like a different combination every single week
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
offensive line. Rashawn Slater going down, Joe Alt going down. They lost Najee Harris too. And, Herbert played through the broken hand on his left hand, non-throwing. But it was a stagnant offense. There was no creativity to it. And Herbert did not play well, though, in that postseason game, even though
No.
he was under
When
pressure
has
a
he?
lot. He missed open receivers. He made bad throws. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the playoffs and then he just doesn't, he wilts under pressure. It's
Yes,
too early
that
to
one.
say that. But, I mean, based on what we've seen so
For
far,
the last 3 times,
yeah.
it
So
looks like that.
he has a lot to answer because we know that the talent, physical talent is there, but
Yeah.
it's more than that with quarterback. A lot of it is, the mental aspect of it. And
Mhm.
we've seen with some quarterbacks, it happens late in their career. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, right? I'm not saying that Herbert's on that path, but what we've seen so far has not been great in the playoffs.
No, it absolutely hasn't. And I understand this year there can be a lot of outs, right? Because of all the injuries, he's got the hand injury, the run game never got together because of those injuries. The offensive line was bad. He was facing a ton of pressure. I get it. That still doesn't explain last year's where it was 4 interceptions, right, in that game, in that playoff game last
didn't
year.
he have 3 in the regular season last year and then 4 in the postseason game?
It was bad. It was bad. And so I get it. Again, it's too early to say that, but right now Herbert has to be going down the ranks if we're talking about playoff quarterbacks, if we're talking about drafts or anything like this, because if you've shown us this 3 times now, sometimes at some point we just kind of have to believe you. And so I think he can turn that around. He's still got a long career ahead of him, but when you're 0-3 in the playoffs, it's really tough to get past that. And like you said, mental hurdles are real. We were just talking with Austin Eckler, and we were talking about, the mental hurdles just getting back on the field. And I know different running back, quarterback, whatever, but all the same, when you look at them that have to get through everything that they're going through, whether it's injuries, whether it's just, the playoffs. I mean, we've talked about it with Sam Darnold. You just have to get through the mental hurdles. And for the Chargers, at least this is a good move, it feels like, or they're moving in a new direction where they're going to try and change it. Again, it's really tough when you have 25 different 5-man offensive line combinations in 2025. It's really difficult to be good when you lose running backs like they did, like you said, with Najee Harris. I forgot about him, to be totally honest with you, because that was so early in the year.
And then Hampton missed a good amount of time too.
And Kamani Vidal did well in that role, but
he's not a back you're going to rely on.
No, you can't. They have to have some kind of duo in that backfield, or maybe the new offensive coordinator comes in and just does something differently. But they ranked 22nd in rushing success rate, 19th in expected points added per rush with Greg Roman over the last 2 seasons, according to True Media. And there's just a lot that can get better. And I think going in this direction is the right call, with Greg Roman now out as their offensive coordinator, their offensive line coach as well out. So we'll have to see how they navigate, the injuries, how they navigate the offseason, and what they do to kind of just make it better. But being healthy in 2026 is obviously going to help a lot. It's just also staying healthy, which no one can predict.
Yeah, I mean, definitely needs some better health along the offensive line. That is for sure.
It didn't help. Let's just say that. But I mean, Justin Herbert, like you said, in the playoffs, he wasn't one that was even at the top of our list in the Guillotine League drafts. I mean, it was hey, stay away situation.
Yeah, we pretty much knew that they were not going to advance.
So in fantasy drafts next season, what do we do? Like, of course, we have to wait to see who their offensive coordinator is coming in, because that makes a big difference to see what they're used to, what those teams usually look like. But Omarion Hampton, do you still think he goes in the second round of drafts?
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, he was a high pedigree rookie coming out, and when you just look at the landscape of running backs, like how is he not going in the second round, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you'll probably have Chase Brown there, and Bucky
Brown
again.
will go ahead of him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Chase Brown, Bucky, James Cook will be there. I've seen people,
Bucky, I don't know about.
He hasn't been and James Cook hasn't been in the first round of some of these mocks that I've seen. Which I
really.
I think he'll be close. Yeah.
Haven't we learned our lesson? I mean, I have.
I know I have. I'm drafting next year, James Cook. I'm so sorry. Please accept my apology. Yeah, Bucky. What do you think? Bucky goes after Omarion Hampton, third round?
I think so many people are. Okay. I guess the way you look at it with Bucky is you go, well, he had a lot of health issues. He came back. He didn't show the same explosiveness. Well, we know Rachaad White is gone. I mean, he was basically putting that on social media.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, I think I'm going to go back to Omarion Hampton, because we know the talent that's there. We know everything else. And so we'll have to, again, just see who their new offensive coordinator is, along with all the other head coaches that are coming in and making changes for 2026. That leads us to some of our big questions for the playoffs in the divisional round. I do want to start talking about just the number 1 seeds. We haven't talked about the Denver Broncos much. We've talked a bit about the Seattle Seahawks. That's just because of me. But it's been a couple weeks since we talked really in depth about them and their matchups that they have this weekend. So let's talk about those 1 seeds and the biggest questions that they have coming up this weekend. We're going to do that here next. Fantasy Life does have everything you need to know about the upcoming weekend in the divisional round. We've got great games going on this weekend, and it's probably the best time for us to look through the number one seeds. And we're going to be really breaking down these games here in depth as the day goes along today and throughout the rest of the week. But I think we got to start with the Denver Broncos here, Adam, and kind of the biggest questions that they have leading into this game. Again, the Denver Broncos are at home, Mile High, facing the Buffalo Bills. Total looks like I'm on FanDuel sitting at 46.5. Looks like a pick 'em too. Like the Denver Broncos aren't favored in this one. I know the lines moved a little bit in their direction because the Buffalo Bills opened up as favorites. Money coming in for the Broncos, and I think it's almost the same question, or in a way the same kind of way we're going to look at the Seahawks, where it's like, hey, this is a really great defense. We know that this defense can lock down basically anyone. They've got Patrick Surtain and co, and they've been dominant all year. Same with the Seattle Seahawks, but it's really a question of what they can get done on offense. And I think that's it. It's if the Broncos offense is ready to do its part. And I think that's a big if, because again, no team was better at, taking down opponents in the red zone. The Broncos set a franchise record with 68 sacks on defense. And so again, we know what they can bring, but it's really Bo Nix and who's going to step up for them to get to start, to score these points this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. A lot's going to come down to Bo Nix and what he can do. Buffalo's pass defense has been really good. We know they are very vulnerable against the run, and Jacksonville, for some reason, was running the ball extremely well and didn't do it enough. So you wonder if they had continued to run the football because ETN was picking up large chunks. Bashal Tutin, the times that he was out there, was picking up yards, and then they went away from it a little bit much. So you would hope that Denver watched that and run a little bit more, even with Bo Nix, right? Especially if you get some man defense, that's where quarterbacks really pick up yards scrambling against man-to-man defense. So, the Broncos offense has been inconsistent. The other thing is too, they play a lot of close games, right? That's been their MO this entire season. I think a lot of it is for the Broncos is what are you getting out of this offense, specifically Bo Nix, because we have seen him be erratic. We've seen him have these really bad games and then late in the game make plays. And two, you talk about their defense, but they've given up some points in their last home games. I'm going to exclude the Chargers game because the Chargers played no one in that final week, but their two previous home games, they lost to Jacksonville 34-20, and then they beat the Packers 34-26. So that's two home games, give up at least 26 points. So the defense is very good, but it's not I don't think it's as good as the Texans defense.
No, or the Seahawks. You want to say shut up?
Yeah, I'd say the Seahawks defense is better too.
Yeah, I like that. And here's the interesting part. So again, their defense though can shut down, and if they've got a good day, it feels like one of those teams and one of those defenses that can carry you all the way to a Super Bowl. But with Bo Nix, and it's not to be harsh on Bo Nix, because I think a lot of people are like just kind of picking on this team, and I do think they've got a great chance to win. They've got the rest. They're at home. I think the crowd noise is just going to be insane. But Bo Nix has developed somewhat of a reputation for being inconsistent throughout games. You never get a full game. There was only a handful this year where you looked back and you said, "Wow, he looked good from the start, from the first whistle to the last." And he sometimes looks bad for 2 or 3 quarters before having to go out there and produce the clutch moments and the clutch plays that end up inevitably getting them those wins that we saw in 2025. Remember when I texted you in the middle of the year and I said, Bo Nix is leading the league in pass attempts, but everything doesn't look right. And he finished that way too. That's one of the crazier stats that I was watching this year, is that Nix led the league with 612 passing attempts, but he ranked 26th in the league with an 87.8 passer rating. So there's a lot has to go right, and it can, because again, Denver's run game hasn't been the same since J.K. Dobbins went down. That was week 10. R.J. Harvey is trying to do his best impression, but J.K. Dobbins was just better, and it was just more physical, and it helped Bo Nix a lot at the time. And so I think that they can, and I think one of the things they have to do here is find success versus this Bills run defense. Because like you said, the Broncos only gained 36 rushing yards on 13 carries in last year's playoff loss to the Bills, if we remember correctly. And so this year, Buffalo's more vulnerable. And if you can get to them on the ground, that really does, just like we talk about with Sam Darnold, it alleviates some things with Bo Nix, where not all of that pressure is going to be on him. But that's a big if from what we've seen with RJ Harvey this season.
Yeah, he was the better back down the stretch, so they need to stick with him. And they need to get him involved in the passing game too, get him in space so he can break these big plays. We've talked about it, how he has not been as explosive as we were hoping and anticipated when he got that job. I think the Broncos offense has to do a better job in the red zone too. I mean, you
Yes.
cannot be settling for field goals here in the playoffs. They were 0 for 3 in the red zone against the Chargers in that last game, again, where the Chargers played no one, and they needed to win that game to get the 1 seed. They weren't that good against Jacksonville either, which cost them in that game. And, third downs, I know Sean Payton has talked about it, that they have to be better on third downs. And again, in the playoffs, all these things get magnified. And you're going against a very experienced Buffalo team with Josh Allen at quarterback. And again, the Bills have a lot of issues. I mean, they never had wide receiver depth to begin with, but now Gabe Davis, torn ACL. Shavers going out with an ACL as well. So they're depleted. I mean, Curtis Samuel could be back, but yeah, that's what we're looking at. Curtis Samuel to be the savior. Brandon Cooks. Dalton Kincaid's banged up. He was in a walking boot after their game. They're saying that was just cautious, but he's been banged up the entire season. So that's how, if you're looking at it from a Denver perspective, you're like, this team is really banged up. They do have Josh Allen on the other side. But yeah, look, there's no excuse here for the Broncos. You're the 1 seed. You're home where you usually have an advantage. You had a bye. They're relatively healthy too. I don't really think there's any major injuries for them. So, yeah, the Broncos, they have to figure out a way to get this done because, again, I know they have Josh Allen, the Bills, but after that, there's a lot of question marks for the Bills right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And my big thing is, and if in my predictions when I come out with and we do our score updates on Friday, I don't think this is going to happen, but in the back of our minds, we've seen it before where what if the Denver defense just has a little bit of an off day? Because we saw that with Jacksonville. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. I know it would be shocking, but it happens. I mean, it really does just happen. And when you have an offense that's a little bit one-dimensional, that spells for disaster. So they obviously have to really show up on defense. And I think avoiding critical mistakes, I know that's really easy to say because every team needs to avoid mistakes, but it's the turnover differential in the playoffs. And like you said, everything is magnified over the weekends. I mean, every game is a primetime game. So they need to make sure that they win that turnover battle. And then again, I think finding success on the ground is going to be key here as well, because then again, it alleviates some pressure from Bo Nix, who we haven't seen in these big moments just yet. And I think it'll be fun, or we kind of have, but it'll be fun to see it in this environment where they are, not necessarily favored, but they're at home. They're going to have the crowd on their side. So they need to attack one of Buffalo's most obvious weaknesses, and that's on the ground. So RJ Harvey, I actually took him last night in a Guilloteenie draft. I was doing a single chop and a couple of them. And I went back and forth because I didn't feel great about it, but he was one that was going later. It was like the 5th round. I was pretty comfortable with it.
Well, no, my guess is that a lot of people feel Buffalo's going to win the game, which is probably why he falls, right? Because if you have that thinking, you're like, well, I'm only getting him for 1 game. But that could be a big game if they feed him and give him the football. And look, there's a chance they win this game. Again, everyone's perspective is different, but like you said, the Bills opened up as a favorite. It's back to Denver. Maybe by game time, it's a pick 'em. But basically, they're saying this is a very close game. When the line's that low and you're home, though, it's slight lean to the Bills. But no, I don't think people would be surprised if Denver won. A lot of people are picking Buffalo because of Josh Allen, right? That's why.
Yeah, Broncos country listening are like, no, we wouldn't be surprised. Come on, like give our team some credit. I do feel like this is the most scrutinized playoff team that we have this season, to be totally honest, which is kind of crazy because they're the 1 seed. But after everything we just laid out and how they got there, it's a little bit understandable. But I do feel like the
Well, yeah.
Broncos are kind of under a microscope for the
Well,
last
it's
couple of
because
weeks.
you just look at let's look at some of their wins. They beat the Giants by 1. And remember, they had to score 100 points in the fourth quarter to win that game. They beat the Texans by 3. They beat Vegas by 3. They beat Kansas City by 3. They beat the Commanders by 1. The Raiders by 7. Packers by 8, 1 possession game. They lost to Jacksonville by 14. They beat the Chiefs by 7 without Patrick Mahomes.
Without Mahomes, yeah.
And then
they barely beat the Chargers.
Yeah, it was 19-3, but that game was close with Trey Lance at quarterback and all the backups. So that's why. Now, you give them credit, right? Oh, I didn't forget they beat the Jets by 2 in that horrendous game overseas.
Oh, gosh, I forgot about that.
They beat
October
the Eagles
12th.
by 4, the Titans in week 1 by 8. So we mentioned 2 blowout wins this year, Bengals and Cowboys. Okay, that's not impressive. So that's why, is when you look at everything, very close games. Again, you give them credit for winning, but when everything is coming down to 1 possession in the playoffs, that could be a problem, especially against the better teams. We just mentioned a lot of teams that are bad. Now, again, give them credit. They beat the Texans, but the last time they faced a playoff team was Jacksonville, and they lost by 14 at home. So I think that's why people look at Denver and they're like, yeah, this is not the most impressive 14-3. And we'll find out. Maybe they prove us wrong, get to the Super Bowl and win it. But you could understand why people are skeptical of this team right now.
Definitely. And I think this is also a week that comes into play when we talk about just Josh Allen in the playoffs and having just having the experience. I think experience really takes over when we're talking about the Rams now going on the road and playing the Bears. When we talk about Josh Allen being a superhero, exactly what he was last week to help that team win. And it just feels like this could be one of the best years where he has the best chance to go all the way when you don't have those teams that are usually just biting at you right behind you. And so this is going to be a fun game nonetheless. This is this is going to be a great game. That's all we can say about it. We'll continue breaking this one down, but definitely just wanted to get started on talking about those 1 seeds, starting with the Denver Broncos, again, hosting Buffalo. The first game of the weekend too, by the way. That's the 1:30 Pacific time game on Saturday. So a good one coming up here. Let's talk about the Seahawks, the 1 seed. I know we've talked about them a little bit more than we've talked about the Broncos because I am a biased Seahawks fan, and that's what we get to do when we have our own show. So let's talk about Sam Darnold. Let's talk about this defense and break down this game a little bit here. Coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here with you on this Wednesday morning. Hopefully you're having a great start to your day. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you right here. I've got my Folgers, Adam. Oh, let me tell you, wait a second. I got a Costco membership, okay? Because I'm very adult. It was my birthday. Got to start the year off right. They do have Folgers. I had to walk out without any because I already got some, so it would have been a waste, but oh my goodness, you should have seen my face when I saw the pallets of just large Folgers tub. It was calling my name. It was calling me. It was a great day. I said, perfect. Now I can come to this location every time because I know. It was great.
I am drinking some new coffee today. It's really good. So I
what
don't
is it?
know. I don't know. It wasn't made by me. So
Oh, do you go to a coffee shop? No.
no, it's made here, but
got
someone
it.
else
You don't know
brought
what
it
the
for me.
beans are?
No, I don't. I have to
Yes.
check, but it's really good. If you noticed, I got
nice.
up during a break to get some more.
You know what? I did notice you get up, and I was like, he doesn't usually do that. I thought you
know.
were mad because our producers were being mean to you.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to
very
go,
harsh today.
Walk it off. Yeah. So if you go to Costco, just know they have pallets of Folgers coffee.
Well, that's probably why I don't go there.
Stop. Costco is cool. They got the hot dog for $1.50.
It's actually good.
The hot dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's $1.50
Okay.
and you get a drink. And their pizza's really good too. Ugh, yum. All
Is
the stuff
it?
that you eat.
Pizza
What?
from
Yes.
there? Okay.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm not in New York, so like,
yeah,
my
gotta
standards are a
New
little
York.
bit
Yeah, our standards are
lower.
way different.
Yeah, but no, Costco pizza is really good. You haven't had it? Well,
No.
I guess yeah. Why would you have it? But yeah, I'm just letting you know. It's really delicious, actually.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind
That's
if I'm
my update.
ever
That's my
by a
life update.
Costco.
Yeah, go get a hot dog and a drink for like $1.60. It's very
Yeah,
cheap.
it looks like you're
nice.
being backed by Tim. He said
See? There we
it's
go.
so good.
Yeah, Costco pizza is good. So shout out, hashtag not hashtag not an ad. But if you want it to be, please let us know because I'll take the Folgers anytime. Going through no easy transition here. I have no, something that I love just as much as Folgers is the Seattle Seahawks. There we go. There we go. We're back. And we're talking through the 1 seeds. We've already broken down a little bit of what our expectations should be or what the Denver Broncos should be in this matchup at home going up against the Bills. Now we've got the same.
Real quick, I just got a text.
Oh no!
From our guy Truck, who was in our league.
Truck.
He says Costco pizza is trash.
Oh, dang it. Really?
And that you're used to Seattle pizza.
I was going to say pizza is not, because you guys have great pizza over there.
New York,
in Connecticut.
New York, Jersey, Connecticut. It's the water.
Sure
That's why the bagels are so good too.
Exactly. Okay. But Tim said the pizza was good too.
All right.
So,
look, we have
West
varying
Coasters,
opinions here. So
West Coasters listening, if you need some pizza, it's not my first
Brendan
choice
agrees with you too. So
see, I'm just saying it's,
all right.
It's actually good. So sorry, Truck. But again, I'm not in New York. So of course I think my mind would change. Like that, never mind. I was going to really go into it. I was going to say, that Office episode where Michael goes and he's like, I'm going to go get a New York slice. Sbarro.
Yeah, Sbarro's. Yeah, a lot of people make that joke on social media.
Oh my gosh, I might do that. Okay. Anyways, Sam Darnold. That's the big question.
Speaking
here.
of bad,
hey, whoa.
See, I can do the transitions too. Boom.
Gosh, you're just on edge today. This is what happens, producer Brendan, producer Tim, when you just riling him up before the show.
Yeah,
blame them. Every name in the book.
Because I am on Seattle's side for this one.
I am, shockingly, I am too. No, it's not shocking. I mean, it's really, is it not the same questions that we just had a little bit, but it's a little bit more focused to Sam Darnold than it is about the Denver Broncos offense as a whole, because I do think Bo Nix obviously needs to step up there, but so does, Cortland Sutton and all these other, Troy Franklin, all these other players also need to step up as well. But with Sam Darnold, are the lights going to be too bright? And I will say this, I think that he's over that. And now we're going to see this weekend if that's true or not. But I've said this for the last couple of weeks and I'll continue to harp on it. I do think that Thursday night game against the Rams was something that he needed to get over, and he did, with those 2 bad interceptions to start. I know that's not the playoffs. I know that he's been thinking about this game now for 2 weeks, but I do think getting over that hurdle in the regular season is going to help his confidence this weekend. And you get a 49ers defense that, again, they don't rush the passer. If it was another team and we were talking about more of an elite defense, I think that a lot of conversations would be talked about differently here. And so I'm really interested to see what kind of Sam Darnold we get. We know that his connection with Jackson Smith and Jigba this year has been absolutely phenomenal. And so the big question is if he can kind of slay another demon, and that demon is basically like himself and the mental hurdles that he puts on himself as well.
And that's obviously going to be the focus on this game. But I just don't know how the 49ers are going to move the football here. Yeah. Again, they beat Philly because of Philly's ineptitude. Philly had a more talented roster. We know how vanilla the offense was. But I just don't think the 49ers have enough here. Shanahan has done a great job. We already saw this offense get completely shut down by Seattle in Week 18. 173 total yards. It was 3 points, their lowest point total since 2017. And no George Kittle now. That is massive. Not only what he does in the passing game, his run blocking. And let's be clear here. Christian McCaffrey has done nothing on the ground. He's averaging 3.2 yards a carry or less in 6 of the last 7 games. He had 22 carries against Seattle for 69 yards. Now, obviously, he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game. And against the Eagles, too, they had several explosive plays, 4 completions of 25 yards or more. Do you really think that's going to happen against Seattle? You think Seattle is missing tackles? So you can say, look, Shanahan's a brilliant mind. He's going to watch what happened in Week 18, make adjustments, and it'll be better. But then on the other side, you have a defense that has just been depleted as well. They have 6th, 7th, 8th string linebackers. I know Fred Warner, I guess there's a chance he can play. But gosh. Seattle ran all over San Francisco in that game. 180 yards, 4.6 yards per carry.
And Walker looked good.
Yeah. I mean, look, we know Walker has shown flashes this year where he breaks the big plays, and then, it's time to go in a different direction and bring in Charbonnet. I think both backs can have success like we saw in that first game. So, Yeah, this is just a really tough spot for San Francisco. I think Seattle, I know it's a divisional opponent and they know each other well, but this was probably the best thing to happen. I mean, then again, I guess getting a depleted Green Bay team would have been fine
Yeah,
too.
that would
But
have been. That would have
yeah,
been.
that you probably prefer that. But either way, San Francisco just has a lot of problems right now with the injuries, and it's just a bad matchup. This defense for Seattle is punishing. So, yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I think the way that they win is getting pressure on Darnold and forcing him to make
Mhm.
mistakes because I think it's going to be a struggle again for the 49ers offense.
I do too.
I don't see how it's going to change. Doesn't mean they'll put up 3 points, but I just don't see San Francisco putting up like 25 points in this game.
Yeah, I expect a little bit more points, at least from the Seahawks in this one. I kind of did a couple weeks ago in that Week 18 game as well, but it just didn't come down to it. So
They didn't need because they didn't really
they didn't
need.
need it.
Yeah,
No.
they didn't need to do it.
Mm-mm.
I think they noticed how the San Francisco offense was struggling, and they have so much faith in their defense that they just said, you know what? Let's just be conservative here. Let's run the football. We're
Yep.
having success, and look, that's the sign of being smart, right? Like you're having
Exactly.
success. Just continue to do that. They didn't turn it over. That was the key. No turnovers, and they had time of possession too. They had the ball for almost 38 minutes. So they kept the offense off the field, and when San Francisco's offense was on the field, they just couldn't sustain drives. They couldn't break big plays. They were 2 for 9 on third down. Seattle was 6 for 13. So if they have this same formula, they'll be in good shape. But yeah, Kittle's a massive loss
Yeah, it's
in the
big.
ground game too.
Yeah, blocking. He did a lot for that team, and you know that that's going to hurt him when they go out there against a defense they're undeniable. This team, this defense, I should say, can carry mistakes that Sam Darnold makes all the way to the Super Bowl if he does make mistakes. Number one in
The
EPA.
49ers can't pressure the quarterback.
No, exactly. He's got no pressure. This is a perfect matchup for Sam Darnold to get this win. For just go ahead, go out there, don't overthink it. You've got a defense behind you that's number one in EPA allowed per play, number one in opponent success rate. Like you've got it's so good. The stats are undeniable. It's undeniable for the Seahawks. They just have to put it all together, not overthink it with the 49ers and get it done. And I don't think McDonald's going to let them overthink it. So I'm excited for this one. We'll make a lasagna. You'll make a lasagna. No, you had lasagna last week.
Yeah,
So you
I
kept the
did.
streak alive for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to continue on. I do want to talk more about the head coach openings and what maybe some expectations should be. We've also got some predictions that we've seen here from ESPN about maybe some landing spots for some guys. So we're going to break that down here coming up next. All right. First of all, Mike sending us a message on X. Appreciate you though. Said, I think you're going a little cheap paying only $1.50 for a hot dog. I thought $40 hot dogs was your price range. Get out of here.
That is true.
Adam, is this your burner account?
No, it's not. I don't
on?
I don't have a burner account. I don't have time to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Kevin Durant, okay? I wish I
really
had his
has
money,
burners?
but yeah.
Really? We
yeah.
found that out?
Yeah, we
That's
found
hilarious.
that out.
Oh my
But
gosh. Okay.
that is true. I guess you
Whatever.
are on the hot dog scale, you go from the elite to the cheap
You know,
ones.
you have to have a range, right? You have to,
How much was the hot dog at the Dodgers game?
I don't think it was that bad. I can't really remember though, to be honest, because I got the combo because they've got really good garlic fries. Oh, garlic
Okay.
fries are so good. I think it was probably like, I can't even, I was going to say 12.50, but I'm sure it was more than that because it's a stadium. Those stadiums are expensive though, no matter where you go.
No matter
I mean,
where you
it's
go,
just
it is.
It's ridiculous. You can't just go and like imagine bringing your whole family or kids. That's
No, I
expensive.
can't.
Yeah, that's
I
expensive.
can't. It's
So
insane. If you're a family of 4, no way. That's why
that's
it's
a lot.
difficult for them to go to many games.
I know we gotta change that because I loved going to baseball games when I was growing up. It was awesome. But you gotta have a range with the hot dogs here. I did see that Sarfraz said that he's in Jersey and he loves the Costco pizza. Come on.
I know.
You're getting debunked here.
I don't even know. I never tried it. So don't tell me I'm getting
Truck's
debunked.
Texting you. He's saying,
Well, yeah,
it's
truck
bad.
truck is the only
I
one so
know.
far that said it sucks. So I
I
mean,
know.
Not that his
That's good.
opinion is high
Hey,
value. I know he's
hey.
listening. We
Wow.
appreciate you
Truck,
listening,
I
Truck.
like you. Yeah, come on. Get out of here. Get out of here. Again, at K Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis, if you have fantasy questions or if you just want to talk about Costco pizza and hot dogs, that's kind of where we're going today. Folgers, whatever new coffee Adam's drinking today.
It's
Yeah, we're
very
keep,
good. I got to find out what it
yeah, you
is.
have to in this break when we go into the water cooler, you should go get the bag and see what it is.
Okay.
Let me just say this: ESPN has an article out from I believe it's Graziano saying, giving predictions of head coaches, and I focus right now on just the offensive, the more offensive-minded guys. And I will say, if the Seahawks do lose Klint Kubiak and he goes to the Arizona Cardinals, I'm going to be sad, but I mean, I don't think I've even expressed it enough. We've talked about it a lot, but Clint Kubiak to the Seahawks offense was incredible. And we saw what year they had. Now, if you put him in the Arizona Cardinals on that Arizona Cardinals team, I don't know, Adam, I might be back in. I might say, okay, maybe this could work out.
Yeah, look, I think that's why a lot of us were liking Kenneth Walker with Kubiak in that run game and that scheme. You figured, okay, this is going to be beneficial to Kenneth Walker. Unfortunately, they decided to essentially go with a split with him and Zach Charbonnet, so it made it frustrating. But we knew that the run game would be good, and the offense has been good for Seattle this year. So it's
Yeah.
not a surprise that he would be someone that other teams would want.
It'll be the one thing will be just interesting with Arizona is what you do with Kyler. I think I don't know. To some, do you think he could be a selling point where like come here and you get Kyler Murray, or is it more, hey, if you come here, you can do what you want with like you can trade him. We have to move on. That's an interesting conversation for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's so difficult to find that quarterback, and maybe there's a handful that believe in Kyler Murray, especially
Yeah.
since he can run. But I don't know. It
We'll
hasn't
have to
looked good.
see. We'll have to see. And it looks like John Harbaugh. I mean, John Harbaugh, the betting favorite to go to the Giants. So we'll keep an eye on
Yeah,
that
he's
as
meeting with
well.
them today.
Ooh, big news there. So we'll continue on. We're going to the water cooler. News and notes you need to know. We're coming up next. It's time to get into that water cooler. News and notes that you need to know and get caught up on so that you can be up to date going into the divisional round. We've got 9 head coaching positions open. We've got John Harbaugh, to be clear, going to the Giants today to do an interview, and we've got a ton of other news and notes that you need to know going into this weekend. It's a great Wednesday. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you here today. FantasyLife.com always with you, though. You can go subscribe to that newsletter. Check out all of the articles that we have. Both of those things are free. So if you had questions, and I know we had a couple questions yesterday, Adam, on just guillotine league analysis and how much you should bid. We put that all into an article, so you guys can go and check that out. I did an article saying, doing a draft review. I did a couple drafts last night. I did, Adam, by the way, I got a message from someone doing this draft. They said, are you in a guillotine right now? I said, did drafting JSN 2 overall give it away? They said, yeah. I said, okay, there you go. So I did draft JSN. But if you want the questions that were asked yesterday, how much fab should you be spending on elite players? Should you go and bid on Nico Collins? How much money should you save for the rest of the playoffs, or can you just blow it all this week? All those questions are answered at fantasylife.com. So make sure you go and check out all those articles and all the others that we have over there. And you can go to guillotineleagues.com as well to continue drafting. So if you want to be in a single chop, a double chop, we've got those going throughout the rest of the week. The first waiver run, as a reminder, goes today as well. So make sure you get your bids in. What time is that today? I said it
3
yesterday.
p.m. Eastern.
Thank you so much. 3 p.m. Eastern.
And then Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern is the next 2 runs.
Perfect. So make sure you get those waiver bids in. And we've been, for whatever reason, off today talking about Costco. The Ray here and Dodger dogs as well. I can't remember. So Ray just messaged us saying $17 to $20 for a standard Dodger dog and fries, but a massive the slugger, it looks like, comes with fries and it's $40. That's crazy.
Yeah, that
You
is
could
insane.
not catch me.
I
Well,
I
actually,
can't do that. There's no way. Like I know the price of food has gone up substantially, but that is insane. Like you could get a meal after the game somewhere else that is going to be better and more filling and more
Yeah.
food. So I understand you get to the game, you're hungry, and that's why look, it's supply and demand. If
It is.
if
You gotta get
people were
yeah.
not spending it, they would not charge it. But yeah,
Exactly.
I go to Citi Field and it's expensive. The one thing that bothers me, if you're going to charge $25 for something, can we please have a good portion of food? That's the problem, is they charge that
That's
much
true.
and it's small. Like, I feel like the last few years we know the price of food has gone up and the portions have gotten smaller.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Or they say, do you want fries with that? And I say, it doesn't come with the fries with the $22. I
Yeah,
said,
and
yeah,
that'll be
I
another
kinda do.
$8 for fries.
Yes. Brutal. Well, I don't remember paying that much. And now I
Yeah,
don't want to
because
think
you
about
don't
it.
look. You're just like,
Well, no, I look.
you don't
It's
listen to the
just
price. You just give them your card. You're like,
but
yeah, whatever. I don't care.
at some point, like that 18-inning game that my dad and I went to, at some point we got so hungry again because we ate before. So we came very prepared, got the peanuts and stuff. And so it's like, okay, we'll just munch on these throughout the game. Got to get a couple waters because it was still a little bit warm when we went. But by the 16th inning, I had to get up, and thank goodness something was open because we were hungry. It was like a little personal pizza. It wasn't bad, but still.
Yeah, the best thing to do is eat before the game.
Before the game.
Somewhere else around the stadium or before you depart on your journey to the stadium. But yes, if you are sitting there and it is the 16th inning and it's the 4th, 5th hour, you might get hungry. And
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what it is. Like, I could not be hungry, and then I get inside the stadium, and then all of a sudden I'm hungry. I don't know if it's because the smell of the food or or you're walking and there's food everywhere. I don't know what it is, but that does happen.
Oh, so good. If you're going to a Dodger game, they know, go to Guisados right at the bottom and just eat there before, walk up. Oh, it's so good. You know what's great food,
Citi Field has great food.
I was just going to say, I've heard they've
weren't they?
great food.
I think they were ranked number one like 3 years in a row.
Yes, they've got great food.
So our baseball team might not be good, but our food is good.
The Angels Stadium too, because that's near me. Angels Stadium has good food. They've got the cookie bucket.
Oh, you love those cookie buckets. You saw one at Citi Field. You're like, you got to get that.
I said, you have to get it, and you didn't, and it was really disappointing.
No. It's a lot of cookies.
Yeah, but then you share them with people around you, Adam. You know, it sparks conversation.
I don't want to talk to anyone.
This team sucks,
most of these fans
like,
don't.
do.
No, what annoys me, I'll be at a baseball game, and I'll hear a conversation behind me, and these people have no idea about the team.
That's
and
okay.
That bothers me.
They're there for the vibes, Adam.
I know, but like, what bothers me is there's such hardcore fans that can't afford the game, and then you got these casuals who are like giving tickets and they're sitting there and they don't even know anything about the team. It just bothers me.
It's tough. They just want to go for the vibes. There we go.
I know.
You just got it. You got to let them. You got to let them go. Is your team going to be good this year? By the way, no.
I don't know. Right now, it doesn't look good. I mean, they're not signing anyone.
Perfect.
I mean, they're rumored to offer $50 million per year to Kyle Tucker.
That. Yeah,
so it's down to the Mets, Dodgers, and Blue Jays. So,
yeah, we'll figure it.
Well, again, thank goodness for fantasy sports and betting because my pro teams are trash.
Thank goodness for the divisional round of the playoffs, right? Because at least it takes your mind off. Well, not for the Cowboys, but it takes your mind off your baseball team. What? Come on, it was right there. It was right there.
I just if I get the quality of football we got this past weekend, I'll be very happy. We had
this weekend,
yeah, we had 4 great games, 2 boring games, but I'll take that because the 4 games that all came down to the final 2 minutes. Like I said, you couldn't get up off the couch in those games. Like you had to go to the bathroom at halftime or commercials, but you couldn't walk away, have a conversation with someone. You were glued to the TV for those games.
Exactly. So, and if you're looking at the slate right now, what would be the game? Would it be New England Texans?
That would be the most boring.
Sorry, Tim. We're not picking on the Patriots. Not a Patriots question. It's more of a defensive question. Yeah, that would maybe be the one. I don't know. I can't really see a flaw in any of these games. These should all be fun games.
You could see Seattle potentially blowing out San Francisco. I mean, obviously it's the biggest line at 7.5.
See, that scares me a little bit, but I don't know if a blowout's on the dock. I don't know.
I would say, I mean, look, Texans, Patriots, you're probably not going to see great offense, right? We like Drake May. He's been MVP type season, but this Texans defense has been so good. They're so physical. We saw what they did to Pittsburgh. Again, Patriots offense is better than Pittsburgh. They have a better quarterback, but yeah, this one has the lowest total of the week at 40.5. So that one could be starved for offense.
I think Drake May was not fantastic last week, though.
No, I
the
mean, he
whole
was
time.
fine.
I mean, it
Yeah.
was a better second half than the first.
Yeah, and it's definitely a tougher matchup this week against that Texans defense. So that one could be maybe a struggle offensively for both teams. I think we expect fireworks in Rams Bears. I know it's going to be very cold. That's the only
Mhm.
issue. It could feel like 0 degrees, so very
Woof.
cold game there. And Denver
Is
Buffalo, again should be interesting. So yeah, if you're talking about from because a lot of people who play fantasy hate these defensive. I don't mind them. Like if it's good
I
defense,
love
I don't
him.
mind it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Christian Gonzalez, his
Yeah.
availability up in the air as well with that concussion. We've got a couple concussions that we have to watch out for. We're gonna know sooner rather than later.
I'm curious. So in your draft, did Nico Collins get drafted?
He did
Or
not. He went undrafted.
I think that's the right move, don't you?
I think it's completely correct. I didn't even look his direction, to be totally honest, because now if you're doing a guillotine this week, it's only four players in a single chop. And so when it's that few of people drafting, I don't think you want to take a chance. Now, if we get news that he's gone through the concussion protocol, I think that this week, and it's the same thing if you started last week, I think I would put a bin on him on Saturday if
Yeah.
we get news. I don't think I'm not doing it today because we have no update. And no
Hmm.
update is probably not a good update when we're talking about the steps of the concussion protocol. And I don't even think that they would tell us until no, it's Wednesday, so they would tell us today. But yeah, I would wait because again, we've got three total waiver runs, but we've got one on Saturday, one on Sunday. So if we get that news, yes, go ahead and bid on him. But I think he's undraftable right now, just with his status being up in the air. And we have no benches in that format. But yeah, he
That's
went undrafted.
that's the big thing. I mean, you're counting on him to be in your lineup. So even if you did pick him up today, say for $1 or $2, now everyone else is picking up the significant players off the waiver
Mhm.
wire. And by the time Saturday comes, there might not be anything great left, depending on injury news. And now you're stuck with a bad player in your lineup. So you do wait, and then I would expect him to be out. He had a concussion
I did
back in
too.
week 7 against Seattle. That was a Monday night football game. He did not return in week 8, came back in week 9. So it's the second time this year. It did not look good. Again, we never know with concussions, but
But getting the
the
card
optics
out,
of it looked
yeah, it
bad.
wasn't
Like he was grabbing
he
his
looked
head
banged up.
immediately. He had to be
Yeah.
carted to the locker room. I think there were reports that he struggled to get to the blue tent. So
Ugh,
short
it's
week,
scary.
you have to go through all these steps. So the likelihood, if you had to put a percentage on it, highly likely he is out. So in these Guilloteenie formats, you can't take the 0. I know it worked for you last week with JSN,
Woo! Yeah, it did.
but he was the 4th most chopped player in.
Definitely.
So
It worked for me because some of the people that I drafted against, like their teams just kind of fell. It
yeah.
wasn't because my team was incredible. Let's just call it how it is. It's because other teams and their players underperformed. And, that's sometimes how it goes.
Yeah,
So
with 8 spots and the margin
it's
for error is
tough.
so slim, you cannot knowingly take a 0. So
No.
I think the league got it right. He shouldn't have been drafted. And I had mentioned in the Guillotine newsletter today that yeah, Collins is a guy that I would not bid on. Like we just talked about, I'd wait, and then if for some reason we get good news on Friday or Saturday, then you could pick him up then. If not, then just stay away.
Exactly. So that's one of the big, pieces of news that we're injury news, I should say, that we're waiting on. Again, Christian Gonzalez, we don't know yet. This was yesterday or a couple days ago, but just reconfirming Gabe Davis did tear his ACL, which is unfortunate for the Bills because they lack true receivers anyway. So to lose anyone for this team is going to be tough. Ed Oliver returned to practice as well. So again, big question marks, and Fred Warner as well, right? Yeah, Fred Warner. His practice window is open, and so there's a big question on if he could be back on the field. Anyone that the 49ers can get back though is going to be big for them because they've just been so injured. I he's not going to, it doesn't feel like he's going to play against the Seahawks. But if they do win that game, Kyle Shanahan did say they're hopeful he can be ready for an NFC championship game. So again, good to get anyone back that they can. So those are the ones that we're waiting on here. Again, just to break down the news again about Tomlin. So he did step down as the Steelers head coach yesterday after 19 seasons. We did get an update just a few minutes ago from Ian Rappaport too, saying after he stepped down, teams have contacted Tomlin to express their interest, but it looks like, so you said this earlier, Adam, Pittsburgh has his rights and draft compensation would be necessary, but according to Ian Rappaport, that said, quote, teams were told Tomlin does not plan to coach next year. So it looks like we won't have Tomlin in the league next year. Maybe he go and does TV and then comes back. Maybe we don't see him back, but that's a big update for maybe teams that were planning or hoping that they could talk to Tomlin as maybe being their new head coach in 2026.
Yeah, this meant that this was his plan, that he likely wanted to do some TV, knows he's going to get paid well for it, sit out a year, and then decide whether he wants to go back into coaching. Or maybe he loves TV, not as much grind on the daily grind as coaching. And who knows? Because again, Bill Cowher did something similar, never returned to coaching.
Never came back.
We'll see with Tomlin. But yeah, there will definitely be teams interested, but they're going to have to give up compensation to Pittsburgh in order for that to happen.
Yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening there. That's a big development, though, that maybe we don't. It looks like we're not going to get Mike Tomlin in 2026 as a head coach. Same thing, McCarthy, but McCarthy didn't go to TV.
No,
he just sat out, but he's getting a little bit of buzz as a coaching candidate.
I did see some teams interested. So
yeah. So we'll continue as always to watch what's going on there. Just a couple other pieces here. I did see a quote from Kevin O'Connell. Curious if you saw this one, but he said, "I think there has to be competition at quarterback." There's been big questions about McCarthy and the Vikings going into this offseason. And one of the biggest draft busts this year was Justin Jefferson, who for a career has been quarterback proof when he's needed to. Carson Wentz, even this season when he was in, looked good with him. And all of a sudden, McCarthy goes in there and Justin Jefferson's stock drop. We did a mock draft live on LG, and Justin Jefferson wasn't taken in the first round, Adam. And it was just shocking, but it's also obvious why that is, because their connection wasn't good. So O'Connell said that he thinks a quote, deep and talented quarterback room will only enhance McCarthy's ability to grow as a player. So it looks like they're going to add competition. We see competition in these quarterback rooms all the time. But yeah, I think McCarthy needs that. He also needs to stay healthy. Just big questions for a team that had Sam Darnold just a year ago, and they were a first round exit in the playoffs because of Sam Darnold, realistically moved on, and now they have to figure out what they have in JJ McCarthy moving forward.
Let's not forget, Minnesota also had Daniel Jones last year too.
Forget. That's true. He was their QB3.
So
right? No, QB2. No, QB2.
Yeah, look, with McCarthy, it's not only performance but availability. I mean, he's constantly hurt. It's always something. I mean, he missed his first year with the injury and then multiple injuries this year. So that's also one of the concerns, in addition to performance.
How far are you letting Justin Jefferson fall, though? Like, even at pick 12, I thought,
he's not going to go in the first round. I think he's going to go in the second. Late second. Yeah.
Okay.
Middle to late second is where he'll go. I mean, look, it's going to be a topic of conversation all offseason because we know how talented he is. He is one of the best receivers, but we all saw how bad it was for most of the season. I mean, he had better numbers with Carson Wentz at quarterback. And those who were taking Justin Jefferson in the middle of round 1 this past year were saying, look, every quarterback that has been in Minnesota, Jefferson has been able to produce with. So you figured, okay, why would that change with McCarthy? I think there was probably a handful of people who did fade Jefferson saying, well, he hasn't played with McCarthy. Let's see it. And they turned out to be right because it was really bad for McCarthy and the Jefferson connection. It did not work. Felt like it was almost everyone else was better, whether it was Addison, even Naylor to a certain point. So Jefferson did finish the year with a great game with McCarthy at quarterback, but Green Bay played no one in that game where he had 8 for 101, but just 2 touchdowns on the season for Jefferson is just insane. Now, he did get to 1,000 yards, did have 84 catches, but 2 touchdowns is just absolutely disappointing. And there were just so many games late in the year where he was non-existent. 2 for 4,
Yeah.
2 for 11, 2 for 22. That's a 3-week stretch that you would never even envision that being a possibility for Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, the talent is there, and you would think that they would figure this out. O'Connell would find a way to get the ball to Jefferson, but because of what we saw, that is the reason why he is not going to go in round one.
Yeah, and it's just a question of who's willing to pick him up when and stop the fall, because at some point we do have to stop and sit back and just say overall talent is there, but where he was going last year can't be the same unless they really do make a big change, because Adolfo-Mensah and O'Connell, they had a presser, I believe it was yesterday, yesterday. And so they kept using this phrase deep and talented to describe like the quarterback room they hope to have going into 2026, but the questions are, how far are they willing to go with that? Are they going to trade? Is it trade compensation? If it's free agents, what are they going to do? And what are your options? I mean, realistically, what are your options to bring in some competition to help JJ McCarthy thrive? Because JJ McCarthy, for what it's worth, they did say this yesterday that the last 4 games of the season he did grow a little bit. Yeah, completion percentage went a little bit above 60%. He only threw 2 interceptions, so there were some small highs there. But again, it's going to be an interesting process for, again, a team that you said had Sam Darnold in the building last year, had Daniel Jones in the building. They're probably kicking themselves maybe a little bit, or maybe they don't care. But, Kevin O'Connell, who we talked to at the Super Bowl last year, being that quarterback whisperer, saying, wow, you got a lot. And he did. He got a lot out of Sam Darnold. To have to go from that to this season was probably, a huge crash.
I would love to see live footage of the Minnesota front office
Ugh.
and hardcore Vikings fans if Sam Darnold is hoisting that Super Bowl trophy.
They're not going to be happy because this was still a Vikings team that we said their window is open. I mean, they have pieces and they have a good roster. You've got Justin Jefferson, like things looked good. So they probably won't be happy. I don't know how much they'll care, but it'll be in the back of
No,
their
that
minds that could have
that
been
will be
us.
painful. You had a quarterback that led you to 14 games. You let him go. Your quarterback room was a disaster this year, and then you let Darnold go to Seattle. And if he wins the Super Bowl, that is going to be extremely painful for them.
MVP of the Super Bowl too. Then we're all getting jerseys.
Yeah,
I think you
that.
have to as well. I'm gonna rope you into that.
Hey, if
No?
you send it to me,
Well,
I
okay,
guess
no,
I'll
I'm not
take
doing
it.
that. I guess no, I'm not doing that. But yeah, big questions for the offseason for a lot of teams. But looking at the Minnesota Vikings, who they bring in for quarterback competition, if it's really a competition, we'll have to wait and find out here. Speaking of though, if we're going down this path, Justin Jefferson being one of the worst fantasy picks in the draft this year, who else were the worst picks? Like, let's go round by round and see who the worst picks were in 2025. See if we're going back to them at all this season and where they're going to fall this year. We're going to break that down here coming up next. We know a lot of you won your leagues this year or you got really close, but there were some players, Adam, that did not help you on that journey. Let's just say that. Felt like every single player was on my team for some of them, but that's fine. We all make mistakes here. I did want to take the chance here, since we are talking through fantasy football from 2025, still kind of breaking down, recapping what we saw there, how it's going to affect 2026 drafts. And I wanted to start by going through the worst picks by worst fantasy picks when we're looking at them by round. And some of these, when I was looking at them, were bad. Let me just say this one first, because I don't think anyone listening to us, because we said it over and over again, to not draft Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon still went in round 9 of drafts this year. So hopefully everyone avoided him, but that was one of the worst. If you were picking him up, even if you had an IR spot, it was bad. Where was he this year? What happened? What was
Yeah,
going on?
look, you just needed to read between the lines, and it never sounded good. There was never anything positive. So I completely stayed away from him. I don't care where he was drafted. I don't care if it was the 12th round. And you could say, well, in the 12th round, like that's not going to hurt you. It just sounded bad to me. It was just, there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing clear. And I figured he wasn't going to play at all this season. And that turned out to be the case. So, yeah, I had no Mixon this year. every week I kept putting him lower and lower in my rankings, and put a note saying, yeah, I wouldn't touch him.
It was bad. And again, we said that week in and week out, just don't do it. Don't draft Joe Mixon.
I'm
No matter where he's going, don't do it. And so hopefully people listened
I'm
because that one
looking
was
in my
bad.
home league draft. He went in round 12 as the RB 48, and that's with IDPs. But I don't think many IDPs even went before him. So yeah, I that has IR spots.
Yeah.
And I still passed on him. I was not
Yeah.
interested in
No.
taking him.
I don't know what's going to happen next year. He was still going ahead of Nick Chubb in a lot of drafts and a long ways ahead of Woody Marks. Woody Marks did not necessarily win leagues, right? I thought that when we talked about him stepping up into a bigger role, especially when we saw Chubb, still get banged up from time to time, it was Woody Marks potentially being a pass catching running back, but that really never came to fruition. It just was not it was not a role that they gave him. And now if we have conversations next year, because it'll be interesting who their RB1 is next year, if it's going to be Woody Marks, if he does get a little bit more of a pass catching role, that does make him a little bit sexier of a pick in drafts. But I don't know. That was just one that we stayed away from a lot this season, and it felt like it worked. Round 8, and someone that I picked in one, Matthew Golden. I think the lesson is don't pick Packers wide receivers ever, or at least don't try and pick them that early. I think he was going earlier than this too. Depending on when you were drafting in those high stakes leagues, he was going sixth round. I want to say. I
Yeah,
mean, it was sixth, fifth round.
he had a lot of helium, so he started to move up. I know I did not get him in redraft. I might have gotten him in a best ball or two. I
Mhm.
was interested. I'm looking now in my home league. He went in the 7th round, one pick
Okay.
before me as the wide receiver 42. So, yeah, he did start to move up. And it was the first time the Packers drafted a wide receiver in like what, 19, 20 years. And
Yeah, 2001.
we figured, okay, they
This is
spent an
it.
early pick. They have to have him play a role, right? Wrong.
Wrong.
It was absolutely atrocious. His best game of the year was 13.2 in PPR back in week 6, and after that, he
Yuck.
never had more than 8.5, and he was pretty much non-existent. Did miss some time with injury. Actually, had a few big plays in the playoff game over the weekend
Yeah,
against
when
Chicago.
it matters the
Yeah,
least to
when no
us.
one had
Great.
him, no one drafted
Welcome
him
to
in
the show,
fantasy
Golden.
either.
Thanks. He finishes the wide receiver 88 on the year.
Yeah,
Woof.
that was an
Horrible.
awful pick. So, what was worse, him or Caleb Johnson? It's got to be Caleb
Caleb
Johnson, right?
Johnson. No question. He
That
was the one I was going to next. Round 7, really sometimes round 6.
he was going
Going
earlier than that though, back in May, June, July.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was.
He was going as the top Steelers running back.
He was I can't even it gets so Caleb Johnson was the worst pick that I remember for a really long time in fantasy, just in general, because it's not even that you got glimpses or you could tell yourself a story that things would get better. If you drafted Caleb Johnson by week 4 or whenever he made that really dumb play, was that the international game where
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
the
in the end
kickoff,
zone? Yeah, the
right?
kickoff. Yeah. And
I
then he
can't
let it bounce.
remember what week that was.
After that, I don't think we heard from him. Not even on special teams. That was a horrible pick with Caleb Johnson, which I have around 7 ADP, but he was going earlier than that in some drafts.
Yeah, definitely in the early drafts, he was going higher. Like there was a best ball. If you're talking best ball back in May,
Oh,
June,
jeez.
July, he was going 5th, 6th round as the top Pittsburgh running back off the board. And then I think we started to see, okay, yeah, this might not go well. I'm looking in my home league. He went round 9 as the RB 34.
See, that's tough. He
Yeah.
finished with 8.8 PPR points for the whole season, Adam.
Yeah.
We could have gone out there and maybe done that. I don't know. Like, come on. That was so bad. And he was obviously outside the top 100 at the position. He only had 3 games where he hit double-digit rushing yards. Never got above 25.
Well, look, if you did draft him, hopefully you cut him earlier, right? That's always the
Yes.
difficult part is deciding when to cut these players that you take in the first 7, 8 rounds. And it's a rookie. So you're like, well, okay, maybe he needs to adjust. But it was pretty clear he was never going to play a big role in this offense. So it doesn't matter where you pick the player. That's one thing you have to learn. If you see that they do not have a big role, you got to move on. And hopefully you did. If you somehow drafted Caleb Johnson, yeah, that was
It was
one.
so bad.
That is
One
that
of the
might be the
worst.
worst pick because you got nothing, absolutely
Well,
nothing out of him.
one of the worst for for me in a few years, like just overall bad. And that's that pivotal point though that you're talking about, Adam. When we say that a lot in the beginning of the season, that's why we say don't give up, but you have to make decisions and you have to really look at your roster in a deep way, week in and week out, and say, can I win with this player on my team? Because if you held on to him, that probably
Clogged
shattered
up a
your
roster
chance
spot.
that shattered your chances of going to the playoffs. But if you cut him and you were able to work the waiver wire, that probably led you to a lot more success. You could have picked up anyone off the waiver wire realistically and gotten more than what you got from Caleb Johnson.
And look, there are going to be instances where you regret it and the player does get a big role and turns it around. Now, this wasn't a rookie, but 2 years ago, Mark Andrews, right, got off to the slow start, and a lot of people cut him, and then he comes back and scores a touchdown every week.
Jalen McMillan for you 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, again, see, that's one I don't regret because he wasn't doing anything, right?
Yes.
Even when Evans and Godwin went down, he still was not producing. It was late in the year. But you're always going to have cuts that you regret. That's just part of fantasy. If you don't, then you're not playing the game correctly.
Mhm.
But the Caleb Johnson one was easy to see that he was not impressing them. We never heard any encouraging reports. And yeah, could he have easily played a big role in the second half as we see with rookies? Sure. But sometimes you just have to make the cut, move on. And there will always be instances. I'm trying to think was there any cut this year that you regret? Like you cut a player and then they had a good performance the rest of the year.
I rage dropped Travion Henderson in one.
Oh, someone in my league did that too. Remember, I told you I was struggling at running back, and I spent
team. Yeah.
No, mine was my 12-team home league.
Oh, really?
And I spent like
Yes.
I spent like $432 or something like that to get them. So it helped me get the most points in the league. Did lose in the semis, but yeah, I was surprised at that. Like, because our league is pretty deep, and you usually don't see people make cuts like that. See, that to me, that was a bad one. Like, you had to stay patient with Henderson. But yeah, there's usually players that we cut that we regret. It's just part of the game and sometimes you're encountering a difficult decision where you have a lot of injuries. You don't have IR spots. Bye weeks happen and you're like, I have to cut someone to make this ad. And you cut someone and then all of a sudden they finish the season strong. But nothing comes to mind this year for me.
No big ones pop out because I even think someone messaged in Alec Pierce, but I don't think a lot of people were dropping Alec Pierce that early because he came on pretty well into the beginning of the year.
I think
shallow format maybe.
Yeah, I think the regrets come more in the shallow leagues where you just have so many options. In a deeper league, we know this, right? You're holding on to most players just because there's not much on the waiver wire, and that's like a 12-team league with 20 roster spots. With Pierce, I guess in a shallow format, I could see it. I mean, you look at his first four. Well, he was injured too, right?
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a concussion, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway.
Yeah, because he played the 21st and didn't play of September, didn't play to October 2nd. So you could see the first 3 games, they were okay. And then the injury, and they probably said, you know what, I'm going to move on. So I could see in more shallow formats he gets cut, and then you watch him put up numbers every week. So I could see that being one.
I can.
Nothing comes to mind for me.
No, I don't have ones, and I'm scrolling through the list as well. Like I get, and someone also messaged us in again at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. Someone said Joe Burrow, but that one was understandable because Joe Burrow was supposed to come back, or wasn't supposed to come back that early.
To me, so I had Joe Burrow in a Superflex league that I drafted 6th overall. I cut him immediately.
Yeah.
Because we had no IR spots and we had like 5 or 6 bench spots. You can't hold on to them. And we always say this. There's always that injury optimism. We always hear the timetable. They give you the optimistic one. And usually it doesn't pan out. This happened to be an outlier where Burrow came back quicker than anticipated. I don't regret it at all.
No,
I mean, I did get to the finals with Tyler Stuck, Bryce Young.
But go.
The whole point, and even if those results didn't happen, even if I didn't make the playoffs, I wouldn't have regretted it. You have to make this decision at the time. It's easy to always go look back with anything in life and go, well, I should have done that. Well, you make the decision at the time with the information at hand, and there was no way that we thought Burrow was going to come back that quickly. So I
No.
don't think that's a regret. I think it was the right decision at the time.
Yeah, I agree because they were telling us December,
Right. And
mid-December for him to come back.
think
And it was
about
like,
that. You
that was the second week of the season that happened.
right. So
Week two.
you're talking 3 months
Yeah,
that you're
no.
going without that player with no IR spots and a limited bench. You can't do that. You're just going to hurt your team.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I don't
exactly.
regret that one.
No. Let's see others that we do regret maybe drafting. I've got a couple more names here because, of course, we have to talk about Isaiah Pacheco, Marvin Harrison Jr., and the big ones. Brian Thomas Jr., are we going back to him? Garrett Wilson, are we going back? Lad McConkey, are we going back? We're going to break those names down here coming up next. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have Xfinity. All the games all in one place. Here's what you get when you watch sports with Xfinity, the sports zone to start. Every pro football game and over 1,000 college games, highlights and alerts all in one place. You also get that multi-view, which means you can be in up to 4 stadiums at once. The Xfinity fan view gives you live scores, odds, and stats all in one place, personalized to you and the teams that you actually like and care about. Enhanced 4K and that voice remote where you can just say football. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy. Learn more at xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. This is Fantasy Life right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Wednesday, breaking down everything you need to know going into the divisional round of the playoffs. And of course, breaking down everything that we saw during the 2025 regular season for fantasy football. We were reminiscing. No, it wasn't fun to look back on the bad picks, Adam, but there were quite a few. Matthew Golden, we've talked about Caleb Johnson being one, Joe Mixon. I want to put Keon Coleman on that list too, even though he was going round 10 plus. There was a little bit of hope that Keon Coleman was going to be good. Isaiah Pacheco. I did fall into drafting Isaiah Pacheco. I only saw it once in redraft. I did take him in a couple of best ball leagues as well, but that was round 6 ADP, round 5. That hurt you a lot as well. He
Yeah,
wasn't
I
great.
only took him in one league, but it was our Greenwich Street Tavern League. I was basically desperate for an RB2.
Mm.
And I tend to do that a little bit too much, is that I go heavy receiver and then I'm searching for that RB2. And sometimes it puts you in a spot where you're like, well, this is the best guy on the board, the highest guy on my rankings. You don't feel good about it. I told you the same thing I did with David Montgomery. Remember? I was like, yeah, I needed an RB2, and Montgomery's the best guy
Yeah,
here. And you know I didn't like Montgomery.
I
So
know. I know you
I
did.
you got to stop doing that. Got to drill that into my head. Stop doing it. But, you get to a point where you're like, I really need a running back here. And this
Yes.
is the best guy on the board or the highest guy in your ranking. And yeah, that was pretty bad for Pacheco, where I know there was positive comments from Andy Reid in the offseason. That was just ringing in my head where they said, yeah, he's healthy. He looks better. We know that contract situation. It's Kansas City. We love their offense going in. And it just never happened. They
Nope.
always trusted Kareem Hunt more. And yeah, it was bad. So that pick does really hurt, because the other part of it is sometimes is you keep putting them in your lineup and you're like, okay, well, this is a good matchup this week. It's going to change.
It has to happen.
And it never does. And you just have to move on at a certain point. So, yeah, it sucks. I only had him in that one league, but it was a bad pick. It definitely was, because I did put him in the lineup consistently and was
Hmm.
getting absolutely nothing. And that was a league, as you know, there just wasn't much on the waiver wire. So I just couldn't find anyone better, and it sinks your team.
RB52 drafted as the RB25, averaged 6.7 points per game and had the career low 35.4 rush yards per game. Just absolutely brutal every way you look at it with Isaiah Pacheco. And just, yeah, for the Chiefs in general, a down year. And so this was, and he's a free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
I
So
believe he is too.
so that's not a good start for free agency for Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, he is a free agent.
Yep.
Yikes.
Yeah, 4-year deal as the rookie. So, yeah, free agent. Not going to be
Ugh.
much demand for him.
No, it's not. What do the free agent running backs look like this year?
Well, you got
Najee,
Dowdle. Oh, yeah,
Eckler.
Algier.
Oh, ETN.
Yes,
That'll
ETN. That's
be
right. And
that'll be an
Javante.
interest. And
Javante Williams.
Javante, Rico, we've talked about a little bit. Oh, you know what? Ooh, Brees Hall, Kenneth
Yeah, that
Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Gainwell as the biggest ones for us.
Yeah, there's some decent ones there,
There's some
depending on
decent
the
ones out
landing
there.
spot.
Yeah, it's not bad. Running back's definitely better than quarterback. Wide receiver, I think it's a little bit of a low year on wide receivers. Mike Evans, we'll see if you think he ends up retiring, or you think he tries to do
No,
it
I don't
again?
think so. I don't think he retires yet.
Christian Kirk, Debo, Diami Brown,
Oh, that's
Calvin.
why Kirk is awake now.
There we go. This list gets bad really quickly. Jauan Jennings, which they might keep Jauan Jennings based on the Brandon Ayuk stuff. But I don't know for the
Depends on
49ers.
money, because remember, he was asking for more money.
Oh, that's right.
Alec
They
Pierce
went through this again. Oh,
and
is
Pickens.
Alec
I don't know
Pierce
if you
on
mentioned
this?
Pickens. Pierce, yeah.
Oh, he's all the way down at the bottom. The disrespect.
Yeah, that is disrespect.
That is disrespectful. Oh, Pickens, yeah. Wow, these guys are at the bottom.
Wandale Robinson, too,
Wandale
right?
Robinson, I just saw. Zay Jones, Tim Patrick, Josh Reynolds, Keenan Allen, actually, if he decides to keep going or call it a career, but I don't think he'll do that. Yeah, we've got, and we'll start breaking down some of these free agents as well. The tight end position is gonna, I think, be the most interesting too, because you've got Kelsey who might retire, David Njoku, Dallas Goedert. I think Taysom Hill's retiring, but we don't know yet. Tyler Higbee, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz is out for the season. Yeah, there's some interesting names there. Darren Waller, if you want him. Maybe he'll go make another music video though.
Probably. Who knows?
Who knows with him? But yeah, that was a bad pick. Let me just say one more. And are we going to go back to him? Because we all know, like, Brian Thomas Jr. was awful, Lad McConkey was awful, but I'll say Garrett Wilson, I think, also was just totally dragging people down. And it's more that he was really injured this year too for that team. He never came back. We said, hey, maybe they just shut him down because they know they're not going to be winning. But Garrett Wilson was a 3rd-round pick in a lot of drafts.
But here's the thing with him. So when he was on the field, he was really good. Like, he had 4 touchdowns in his first 5 games. He had the one bad game in Denver, which not in Denver, it was overseas. I don't remember if it was London or not, but it was overseas. And we knew, okay, Patrick Surtain with Justin Fields, a quarterback against the Denver defense. So you should have known that was not going to go well. And I believe that was the game he got injured. I think it was late in the game, but that's the game he got hurt, because then he was out, came back, and left, got hurt again. But so, like, I don't know if you could say, yes, injured players are always going to turn out to be a bad pick if they missed a year. But when Garrett Wilson was on the field this year, he was productive.
Yeah, that's fair. Because 22 points, 9, 24, 2019. He was on pace for a great season.
With Justin Fields, who was so bad. So
and
that's just
he came back, though, in the middle of the year, and that's really when we got faked out, because it was weeks 10 and 11. I see double zeros for both. Like, he was active but didn't play, maybe?
No, I think he came back the 9th against Cleveland and got hurt. I don't know if he came back after that. I think that was the game. Okay. So I don't know why the second double zero. I could be wrong on that, but that was what I recall. Is he came back for one game and got hurt again.
But like you said, we can't do much with injuries, but so a bad pick or just unlucky, I think, is probably the better way to say it. And it'll be a really big conversation this offseason, who the Jets turn to at the quarterback position, and what that means for a Breece Hall, what that means for a Garrett Wilson, because he also feels like someone that is so talented that might be quarterback proof, but we just didn't see it this year because of the injuries. So maybe not a bad pick, but definitely an unlucky one, which obviously happens every single year in fantasy football. We're going to keep going through more of those bad picks, but I also want to set the scene for the divisional rounds and just go through the totals, the spreads, and our expectations overall, just to start things off with those breakdowns. We're going to do that here coming up next. As always, you guys are the best. We've had a great show here today. We're not done yet. We are setting the scenes for the divisional rounds for this weekend and those games. Make sure you stay locked right here, though. You got RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today coming up right after us. And as always, fantasylife.com is where you can go as well to just get all your news and information, not only in our newsletter, but in our articles that are free. So if you've got questions on the Guillotine League drafts, make sure you go check that out. We've got the first waiver run. If you were drafting last week, we've got the first waiver run today. So make sure you get those bids locked in if you're looking to continue or looking to do some more drafts. I was in there yesterday doing a couple at them, made sure to get a little JSN. You know what was crazy in one of my drafts last night, though, that I was looking at? Single chop league. Christian McCaffrey went first in one of them. I did not like it. I'm sorry if you were in that one and that was you. I'm biased, I know, but I don't have to be biased to look at the stats from the Seattle Seahawks defense and say to myself, I would rather have Puka Nacua, I would rather have JSN, and then I'd probably rather get a quarterback in the first round than go with Christian McCaffrey for that game.
Unless the only way you can justify it, or I'm assuming the reason why that person felt that way, they think the 49ers are going to win. Look, even as bad as it was in that first matchup, McCaffrey had in the second match, he has 6 catches, 34 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still 9, but only 23 on the ground. And that's the problem. I just don't see him doing much on the ground. So you're going to need him to find the end zone. So I agree. I wouldn't have done that. Just curious, the average amount of bids you put in for your Guillotenies today. Because mine's around 25.
25? Yeah, it's a lot. Oh,
well, see, here's the one thing.
Money.
I do this in every waiver wire. I put in a ton of bids.
I do too.
Like, so in the regular season, you'll obviously have your high priority. And if I have someone that I have to drop, I'll put in a bunch of $1 to $2 bids. And do it. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, is they only put in like 2 or 3 bids. If you have a player that you absolutely want to drop, you have to put in a lot. And I think especially in this Guilloteenie format. So I look at the other teams and I go, okay, what do they need? Most teams have 3 or 4 open roster spots. I was fortunate in the one we're in together, where I only have 1 open spot. Like I have 7 that survive.
Annoying.
But in my other leagues, I think one league it was 4, one league it was 3. So if you have multiple teams needing that, there's going to be a lot of players up for bids. So I know it's tedious and it takes time, but you have to put in a lot of bids this week. Hopefully, unless you're in my league, just take it easy.
Yeah, then just don't have to do it.
I shouldn't have said this.
I know. What are you doing? I
should have said it tomorrow.
I know. I like doing them on my laptop.
But I'm trying to help people.
I think it's easier for me doing it on my laptop than my phone, because
I agree.
I'm chucking in I'm averaging right now. Yeah, I've got about 21. I just looked, 21 bids per. But I've got some teams that were decimated. Like I've got one that I need 6 players, Adam. Ooh. So I obviously didn't draft.
Is that one you're in with me?
I hope not. I really hope not, but we're going to find out here tomorrow. So
6 is a lot.
Yeah, no kidding, Adam. I'm fighting an uphill battle here. I'm just going to spend I might spend my whole $1,000 this week and just see how it goes. But again, guillotineleagues.com, that's where you can go do more drafts. That's where you can put in all your fab bids. Fantasylife.com as well is where you can see all the articles. We'll see you same time here tomorrow.